everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and I'm here today to film my long-awaited book haul. I feel like it's been 2 months since I've filmed one, which is crazy because I guess I didn't buy that many books, which is so impressive for me because, you know, I have no self-control and I always buy a ton of books. And that being said, I still have 17 books to show you guys, so it's not like I didn't buy any books. I definitely bought quite a few, but I don't know, I thought it would be way worse. So I'm just gonna be drinking my little coffee while I do this because I need the energy. So yeah, let's just kind of get into it. This is kind of the order that I bought them into. I like to keep all my books in order for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it's how I do it, so. First and foremost, I bought Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. This is the second book in the Scythe series. I'm really not sure how it goes. And I'm very excited about it. This takes place in a dystopian world where basically all forms of death have been cured. All illnesses and all, like, you don't die from old age anymore. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. And so, to keep down the population, there are these things called scythes, and they're these people that, you know, kill people. So, this series, I believe, follows 2 scythes in training. I don't believe that you get to pick to be a scythe, you just get picked, so I don't think they're very willing. Overall, I'm very, very interested in the plot. This series blew up this past year. I've been hearing about it for a little while now, and that's why I already had Scythe, but when I saw this on Book Outlet, I really just couldn't pass up the opportunity. After that, also on Book Outlet, I bought The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw. I had been planning on reading this for I want to say the biannual Bibliothon. I think this was their group book, and I was definitely planning on reading it. I bought it like the week before, but obviously it's Book Outlet and it doesn't come in that fast. So the biannual Bibliothon was already over by the time I got this in the mail, so I was like, oh, well, that's how that goes. This gives me L.J. Smith vibes for whatever reason. I think it's because I just haven't read a very witchy book lately, and those are the last ones that I loved. L.J. Smith, if you don't know, is like the writer of The Night World and The Vampire Diaries. This takes place in a town where once a year, 3 ghost witches take over bodies of girls and kill boys, I want to say is what happens. They got murdered 2 or 3 centuries prior to this, 2 centuries, and they obviously have been looking for revenge ever since. And yeah, that's kind of all I really know about it, but it's just giving me such like dark and mysterious and paranormal vibes, and I would definitely want to pick it up. Plus it seems like a short read. I've heard very average reviews, I feel like, overall. Like, it's not bad and it's not good, so I'd like to see where I fall on that scale. Then I also got Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. This is the 3rd book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy. I have read the 1st book. I don't have the 2nd book, so therefore I have not been able to read the 3rd book yet. I'm so excited to, though. I obviously did watch the Netflix movie. It was so cute. They did change a few things, but I think that the things that they changed didn't change the soul of the story. Like, it still had the exact like feeling that I got when I was reading the 1st book, and I really want to finish the series because I don't play with the coffee mug. Because I know that there's a different love interest that pops up, I want to say, in the 2nd book, and I'm very interested to meet him. I also grabbed The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. This actually seems like the kind of contemporary that I love. You guys know I don't really read contemporaries, but when I do read contemporaries, they're always dark. Or almost always, I guess. And I think this story is about a girl named Eden who is raped by her brother's best friend, is what I want to say. Yeah. So, and it kind of just follows her story after the events of that night, just how she copes with it. I have heard that she copes with it in a very different way than how we normally see portrayed in YA contemporaries. She kind of goes off the deep end and like tries to reclaim her sexuality and does that by, I believe, sleeping with a lot of guys. I'm really not sure. I think it would be a very interesting to read her story, though. I love like mental health type of books, and I know that this isn't necessarily a mental health book, but I do feel like it's going to deal with a lot of her mental health after that trauma, so it just sounds like something I would really be interested in. I didn't want to say enjoy because that sounds kind of awful. And Oh, no. There's 2 more books I got from that book outlet haul. I got Shadowcaster by Cinda Williams-Chiba. This is the 2nd book in the Shattered Realms series. This is the series that comes after the 7 Realms series by Cinda Williams-Chiba, which I am currently reading. And I just know I'm already loving it. Like, I really loved the first book. And I know I would regret not getting as many of them as possible for such a good price on Book Outlet, because if I just wait and then they go off of Book Outlet, then I'm gonna have to buy them for full price, which is ridiculous, so I just might as well try and get the whole series while I still got it. I'm really not sure what the Shattered Realms series follows, but the 7 Realms so far is following 2 characters. I feel like I've summarized this so many times because I keep talking about it, but it follows Han, who is a peasant. He lives a very lowly life. He works a lot with the clans in companion with the queendom, and he is just trading for a living. He's just trying to make a living because his mom and his sister need as much help as they can get and support. So we follow his story, especially after he's come out of being a street gang leader. Luna, don't play with the flowers! No, if you are not gonna be good, you have to just stay in my lap. Okay. Ow. Okay. And where was I? So yeah, he just came out of being a street gang leader. He's kind of trying to find a new way to live, and his story is super interesting. And we also follow Princess Reza, who is the heir apparent to the queen, and she's about to have her 16th birthday, which is like the birthday, and she's, you know, trying to find prospective marriages, and she is just such a fun character because she's not like the typical princess. I mean, I feel like she's the typical fantasy princess because she just has a mind of her own. She wants to do things her way. She knows what's happening, and she's just a lot of fun. And there obviously is like a twist in the story. This is definitely more of a dark political fantasy, in my opinion, rather than lighthearted or like even just actiony. It's just, there's a lot of dark plot points in this, and I'm very intrigued to continue. And lastly, I bought God's Grave by Jay Kristoff. This is the American editions or US editions, whatever, and it's a signed first edition, so you guys know that Nevernight has become one of my all-time favorite series. It's fantastic. I'm in love with Mia Corvair, and I think by association, I am now in love with Jay Kristoff because he wrote Mia Corvair. So yeah, it's such a good fantasy series, and it's adult fantasy. I always feel so proud of myself for reading an adult fantasy book because you guys know I read young adult almost exclusively. So, but it's so fantastic. If you haven't heard me talk about it, I'll give a brief summary right now. This follows Mia Corvair after she is separated from her family at a very young age, and she is kind of trained up to take revenge on the people that tore them apart. And she wants to become a real assassin, so she goes to a school for assassins and gets trained to be one, and it follows her. She also tries to deal with this dark magic that she really doesn't know how to control. No one really has it, and there's nothing written on it, so it's very hard for her. And she also has her shadow companion, Mr. Kindly, and in this book she also has another one, and it's so great, and I love Mr. Kindly as a character. He is the sassiest little shadow cat you will ever find. So yes, I want like never flinch, never fear, and never ever forget tattooed across my forehead. Like, I mean, I don't, but I would seriously consider getting that as a tattoo. Then I got Heart of Thorns by Brie Barton. This came in the Fairy Loot box for July, and I'm actually really excited about this. I was sort of on the fence because I had never heard anything about it, but recently I saw, I can't remember who. It actually might have been Christine over at Poland Bananas Books. I think it was her, and she was saying that she really loved it, and then she mentioned that the blurb says for fans of Sarah J Maas, and I was like, oh, well, why isn't that blurb on my book? And I love the sprayed edges. It just looks so cool, and I forgot most of the plot already because that's how I am. Oh yeah, this follows a girl, ooh, Mia. We already know I love Mias. And she was trained her whole life to defeat these like half god, half human things. And she's trained her whole life to become a hunter for them until one day she is sold for marriage, which is insane to her. She never thought her father would do that. And she also finds out So not only is her whole world turned around, she's not going to be a hunter anymore, she then finds out that she's one of the half-god, half-human things. The very thing she had been trained to kill and hate. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I'm actually very excited to read it now, and yeah. And in my owl crate for the month of July, I received My Plain Jane by a myriad of people: Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. I'm actually so excited that we got this in the mail. I've heard that you don't actually have to read them in order. There's already another book in this series. It's called My Lady Jane. I believe it's called the My Lady Janes. And I think it takes Jane Eyre? I could be totally wrong. Yeah, it's Jane Eyre. So it's taking like the Jane Eyre story and putting it into a more modern setting, and I've heard very good things about this series, and I really had been wanting to get the first one, but I did hear that you don't have to read them in order, so that means I can definitely start on this one before I get the first one, which is really cool. I don't really know what it's about other than it's kind of Jane Eyre inspired. Alright, the next 4 books go all kind of together, and you guys know that I have been reading the fairy tale manga, and so I obviously have been buying them as well. I have volumes 2, 3, 4, and 10. I don't know why I randomly have 10. Well, I do know. It's because all the other ones were kind of expensive and not on thrift books, but 10 was, so I'm really enjoying this. I've already read volume 2, and I plan on reading the next ones soon. I'm kind of taking this slowly because they're just really fast reads, and I know that if I let myself, I'm going to zoom through them, and then I'm not going to have any more volumes, and then I'm going to go have to buy more, and so yeah, I'm loving it. Basically, this is a fairy tale manga. So no, it takes place in a fantasy world where there are wizarding guilds that kind of protect the world for payment, and this specifically follows some wizards from the Fairy Tale Guild, which is the most infamous and best guild in the whole land, and they're just really funny. Hiro Mishima has a really beautiful art style in my opinion, and he also just has the best humor, so it's so cute. There's always like these weird little companions in his novels, and so far I'm really liking it. I've only read the first 2, but manga, especially his kind of manga, since you have to build a huge world and you don't have that much space per novel, it takes a while to get into them. I would say like maybe like 10. The first 10 is where you're like still getting introduced to everything, and then you start to build up on that. So if I'm already loving it this much and it's only the very beginning, I can only imagine how much I'm going to love it. And I know a ton of you have been telling me to watch the anime, and I really want to, trust me, but I don't want to watch more of the anime than I have read of the manga, so I definitely kind of want to read the first 10 first and then potentially get into the anime after. The next book I actually got from Barnes & Noble. I know, so weird. I actually bought something from Barnes & Noble for full price. And that is The Savior's Champion by Jenna Morrissey. I'm so excited to pick this up. I was already really excited about it. It's like the Gladiator meets Gladiators meet The Bachelor, and there's a lot of raunchy scenes and bad language, which sounds exactly like something I would love. So I was already excited about that. It is a self-published book, which is something else that I'm insanely excited about. This is probably my first self-published book that I've read. That I've owned and that I want to read, because I don't think I've had any others. And then, after I hauled this in one of my reading vlogs, a ton of you guys are telling me that Jenna Morrissey actually has a YouTube, like an author tube actually, and I am definitely going to check her out. I'm so excited because, as you guys know, I want to write a book eventually, so I think it's just going to be such a cool experience to be able to read her book and watch her videos, and it's just an overall great experience. So I highly recommend it. I'd been putting off buying this for the longest time because, being that it's self-published, Amazon doesn't have it for a cheaper price or anything like that, which is expected. It's, I believe, $23.99, so it's kind of a pricier book, and I never bite the bullet for pricey books, but I was just staring at it, and I wanted it for so long at this point, so I'm glad I got it. It hurt to buy it, but I'm really glad that I'm also supporting a self-published author. Getting down to the last books, thank goodness. Alright, next I have The Exiled Queen by Cinda Williams-Chima. This is the second book in the Seven Realms series, and yeah, I actually couldn't find this anywhere. For some reason, they're not making the hardback edition of this anymore, or maybe they're having, it's not printed right now, because on Amazon it's crazy expensive. So I went on a little hunt for it and I found it on Abe's Books, and it's in actually pristine condition, so I'm very glad I got it for like $8, which is super cool, and I'm very excited to read it. Obviously, I've already kind of given a summary of what this series is about. I'm planning on starting it this month, so yeah. Next up, I got Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart in this month's Owl Crate, or in August's Owl Crate, and yeah. I actually got this in my first fairy loot box ever, and while both editions are really gorgeous, I do prefer the fairy loot one more. This story is a feminist fantasy about two sisters, one of which is the proper lady. She is one of the princess's ladies who is supposed to influence how all other ladies act, while her sister has been imprisoned because she was never the right lady. She has a dark secret. She acts out. And I believe that the sister that's in prison has a secret that could ruin her other sister's life, or that could change everything. It sounds like it's gonna be a fantastic read. I'm actually very excited to get to it, so I'm not that mad that I got 2 editions, but yeah, so. And the last 2 books of this haul are the ones that we waited so long for, and the reason that this haul came up so late. But I'm sure you could have guessed, because you guys probably knew that I was doing this while I was doing my reread, and obviously I got the books that were coming in were from Book Depository, so if you hadn't guessed already, it is Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas in these gorgeous white UK paperbacks of the series. These are so beautiful. As I've been doing my reread, I have been letting myself buy each edition as I read it. That way I can have the completed series by the time Kingdom of Ash comes out. And they're just so beautiful. I really couldn't help myself, and I'm really glad I got them. Obviously, I read these. These are both 5-star reads for me. I love the Throne of Glass series. It's definitely my guilty pleasure, my all-time favorite. It's everything to me. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm obsessed with Throne of Glass, and I talk about it in almost every single one of my videos, somehow. And if you've been here, then you know. And thanks for watching me while I gush about these beautiful editions. Like, look at them! Look at the green and the blue, and she just looks so good. Like, I don't know how the white background changes everything so much, but it does. So, yeah, and plus they look so good stacked up because it's like a metallic... I'm so glad. I mean, it's definitely worth the wait for me. I know I was complaining that it didn't come in for a really long time, but it was worth the wait. So, I'm glad I got them. So that was it for my 17, right? 17? Yeah. So, yeah, 17 books that I bought in the past month and a half or so. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if there's any books in here that you guys have been very obsessed with reading lately or really wanted to, and that'll be all for today. I make videos Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays most of the time, and if you'd like this video, then like it, please, and subscribe if you want to, because I don't know, I've been trying to like include more stuff into my outro, like how all the established booktubers do, but I find it hard, and I don't like asking you guys to like my video and subscribe, but I know that like I should, so I'm trying to implement it. Alright, thanks for watching that awkward outro, and bye!